Please welcome Ron Tremblay.
Kwe. Kruiskejin awado dumk. Hebito mosum snagi naga gizio. Menjamir dumk skijin awado. Himso skijin gil. Kru acho yagde yud genzo sa lamio. Najibujo keminen. Mr. Weenan, Gakiminen, Dutch with Lokia good to catch, would be able to giskok. Lewin show you, but it was rotated it also in a look. Spazak is the Pesazam nil Lewis, Jao nil Nagutkuk. Gaka goes wagodum. Nagamalsam wagodam nil. Ibajo Nigawas Gakagos wagodamut. Naga Namitax Malsam wagodam. I was told by my grandfather that you should speak your language first, your first language when you talk, because that's I have around 15 minutes, so I better not speak too long with my language. What I said is that I was going to invite our great-grandparents here to guide and direct us and to be with us here. And the great mystery and all life. I'm from the Crow clan through my mom's side and the Wolf clan through my dad's side. And those are the two totems that I carry. And the Crow is a survivor. It survives through any type of weather. If you see a crow, they're here flying around in the coldest of days and in the most extreme heat. So they're survivors. And the wolf is a teacher and a protector. So I take those two clans very, very seriously. That I have to follow the path of both of them. This past week we had the pleasure of gathering at the Wabanaki Confederacy. And we had a lot of teachings, a lot of ceremony. And I'd like to tell you our creation story, just a little bit of it, because it takes 3 days to tell it. So, and we don't have 3 days. But I'll share the beginning, because the beginning will help you to understand who we are as Wollostuk Kewig and the Wabanok. In the beginning, there was just darkness, complete darkness. And then also, and all of a sudden, Kchimandu, the great mystery, had a thought. And his thought turned into stars and planets. And these stars and planets were just roaming around with no direction. And in between that time, there was 7 loud thunder noises within a time period. And after those loud noises, he heard this beautiful voice behind him. And she said, It's good to have thoughts, but you have to have heart. And she sang this beautiful song. And all of a sudden, the earth was created, and all the beings on earth were created. And that's the balance between male and female. The way we look at creation that Kchimandu isn't a man who created all of this. It was a combination of male and female. And if you look at us in life, if we create, when the animals create, it takes a male and a female. That wonderful balance of love, compassion. So once the earth was created, the most pure water was formed, came down from the universe, the purest of water. And then after a while, land formed. And this great big turtle came up. And she created what we call now North and South America. And this wonderful man we call the Gelwiskub, which translates to the good man, came down from the North Star, was born here. And this Gelwiskub paved the path for our Wabanuk people to be here. And then we, as the Wolastoq, formed our territories where we lived. And in our nations, there was 4 nations that lived in the northeast. The Wolastoq, the Mi'kmaq, the Passamaquoddy, and the Penobscots, later on formed as one confederacy, one union. And we all each had responsibilities. And the Wolastoq, which is my nation, we are called the Wolastoq Gewiig, the people of the beautiful river. Now, if you ever go to Fredericton or up to Woodstock or the areas like that, you'll see that river. It's one of the most polluted rivers in North America now. And standing here, that it breaks my heart to call that the Wolastoq. Because she's not that beautiful no more. She's been polluted by the two-leggeds, by greed. I remember when I was around 7 years old, standing next to the Tobique and the Wolastoq River up in my community with my grandfather. My grandfather was a short man like me, but very strong. And he looked down at the 2 rivers where they meet. And he said, "You know, Gus, my son," he says, "right across there, I used to pick all my medicines that I needed." And he said, since those damn dams were built, he called them, he says, they drowned all my medicine. And I looked up at him, and he had tears coming down his cheeks. My grandfather never cried that much, but it's the first time that I ever seen him cry. And he said, when I was a boy, your age, he said, my dad would say, go get a salmon for supper. He said, there were so many salmon you couldn't see the bottom of the river. He said, I just go wade and grab a salmon with my bare hands. That was that many salmon. He said, now look at this. We are the stewards of that river, the Wolastoq people. We've been slack in our commitment and our responsibility. And I hope and pray our young people will wake up and stand up and protect the water, because that is our responsibility. The morning I was arrested at between 126 and 116, Route 126 and 116. A friend of mine, Angie Beek, and I were rushing to go at that site because I knew I had to do the morning sunrise ceremony. I promised Warrior Chief John Levi I would. And I looked over to her. I said, "Are you ready for this morning?" She said, "Yep." And she knew what I was talking about. For the night before, I had a dream of what my responsibility was that morning. Is that I was doing our sunrise ceremony using our sacred pipe, and I had my clan pipe. And I seen myself in that vision, in that dream the night before, me standing in front of the thumper trucks, stopping them. And I seen myself there, and I had no fear. And so it did happen, exactly what I dreamt. Several years back, back in around 1994, I had the pleasure of listening to one of the elders from Maniwaki Nation, Cree Nation, Algonquin Nation. His name was William Commanda. William was one of our last Wampum readers, and this here is a small wampum here from the Wampum Quahog Shale, and I have a larger one here. But William brought his oldest wampum that his grandfather had given to him and taught him how to read. It was 25 feet long and around 1.5 feet wide. And it had shells and these designs all the way through. And it took William around 2.5 hours to read from one end to probably 3/4 of the way through. And he talked about the beginning of time of our people and right through the history of first contact to the time we are sitting here today. And this was back in 94. And I was sitting in front. He said, "Young man," he looked right at me. He said, "You will see this." He said, "We will come to a crossroad." And there was a cross there, exactly like what's on my tattooed on my hand. He said, "That crossroad is very important, very symbolic." He said, "We will get to a time, and you will see this, where if we cross that crossroad, there's no turning back. It's written in prophecy." He said, "There's going to be certain companies that's going to come and destroy our Mother Earth and her veins, the water." He says, "If we do not stop them, once they get past that crossroad, there's no turning back. Be too much poison in our air, earth, and water." So it is time, he said, for the young people to wake up. There will be a time when they will wake up, and they will rise with their drums, with their ceremonies, with their songs, and they will protest against all what's going on. And this past winter, when Chief Spence was fasting, and all of a sudden this idle no more movement came. And all that came back to my mind, exactly what William Commander had said, the young people will wake up. And they did. So all across Canada and the United States, this Idle No More movement spread like wildfire. And our young people are waking up. On Route 126, probably 5 weeks ago now, on a Friday night, there was around 26 young people sitting around a sacred fire singing. On a Friday night, 26 young people around the sacred fire singing. So what William said has come to this point. He said, and who will wake up? He called them the Rainbow Warriors. And I'm thinking, Rainbow Warriors. I thought long and hard about that. Rainbow has a lot of colors. Looking out here, there's a lot of colors of people here. We're the Rainbow Warriors. And he said, nations will stand shoulder to shoulder. And the fear that the government will have, because now the Francophone and the Anglophone and the First Nations are standing together. And I'm going to close with this story. My dad gave me a magazine back in 1989 or so. It was Maclean's magazine, and a Cree woman from northern Quebec wrote this. And I'm sorry that I can't remember her name. But she was talking to a group like this, but it was a mixed group of First Nations and non-First Nations people. And I will close with this. She said, I want to talk to my Native brothers and sisters first, she said. She said, we need to stop carrying what happened from the past forward. What happened, happened. Let's learn from that. We cannot heal, we cannot walk, we cannot carry, because it's going to pull us back. Whatever happened in history, we have to deal with it and move forward. Said, now to the non-First Nations people. Stop moving forward so freaking fast, she said. She said, slow down and just stop for a while, calm down and relax. And what I want you to do is learn the true history of what happened here in our country. The true history. And she said, one day, when we First Nation people start going forward and letting stuff go, and our white brothers and sisters start to relax and come back, that one day we're going to meet. And here we are today. So I will leave you with that, and I want to show you a historical event just happened this past weekend, or week, as I said. The Wabanaki Confederacy, we gathered, and first time for I don't know how many centuries that our flag was flown. And what this flag represents is the 4 nations, and it's not just a nation, it's all the people of the Mi'kmaq, the Wolastoq, and the Passamaquoddy, and the Penobscot. And I'm going to unfold the flag, and within the flag is double curves which connect us, and it looks like 2 3s on the side, but that means forever and ever and ever we'll be here and we'll work together. So. And I'll say my language in closing. Say this in my language. Beliwan, Kamaj Beliwan, Chewa Gripastwin, Psiwan Gizalma Yod. Thank you for listening to me, and I send my love to all of you. Thank you.